Hollywood is a glamorous place where the top actors and directors can achieve unimaginable levels of fame and fortune. Thousands of aspiring directors come to Hollywood in the hopes of making the next blockbuster movie, but in this highly competitive environment, fame and fortune are far from guaranteed. One of these aspiring directors was a man named Carl Rinsch. He was recently accused of defrauding Netflix out of $55 million and now faces 20 years in prison. Born in 1967, Carl Rinsch was a film director based in Los Angeles, California. He started off directing television commercials. It's quite common for directors to start off directing commercials before they eventually graduate to TV shows or movies. Rinsch's break came in 2008 when Universal Pictures hired him to direct a new movie. The film was to be called 47 Ronin. It was to be a supernatural samurai film loosely based on Japanese folklore. It was a very ambitious project. Universal allocated a production budget of $170 million and hired superstar actors including Keanu Reeves and Rinko Kikuchi. This film was Carl Rinsch's chance to make a name for himself as a top-tier Hollywood director. So he got to work filming and the movie was ready to be released in 2013. To call 47 Ronin a flop would be an understatement. The film first launched in Japan. In its opening weekend, it generated a measly $1.3 million at the box office. It was in third place behind two animated movies. One about Detective Conan and another called The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Universal had spent $170 million to make an epic movie and they couldn't even beat Detective Conan. All hope was not yet lost. While the movie was loosely based on Japanese folklore, it was not intended for the Japanese market. At the end of the day, it was a Hollywood production meant primarily to appeal to Western audiences. The real test would be the US release, which happened a few weeks later. The US release was also a disaster. In the opening week, it grossed just $21 million. It was ninth place, falling behind such heavy hitters as Saving Mr. Banks and The Secret of Walter Mitty. During its entire theatrical run, 47 Ronin grossed $152 million globally. This is below its production budget of $170 million. But this understates the scale of the disaster. The production budget does not include the mass marketing budget. Also, the distributors and movie theaters take a cut. So the producer only gets about 2/3 of the gross revenue and even less for international showings. General rule is that a movie needs to gross twice its production budget to even. 47 achieved less than half of this. Universal probably lost the better part of $100 million on the film. So why was it such a flop? While the action scenes were technically well done, the plot was predictable and uninspiring. It was basically just a bunch of samurai fighting a bunch of monsters. It took its ranks amongst the millions of mindless action movies that Hollywood mass produces. It was Carl Rinsch's big chance to make a name for himself and he completely blew it. For the next few years, he went back to directing television commercials. After his performance of 47 Ronin, Carl Rinsch attempted to make a comeback. In 2018, he convinced two unnamed media companies to fund a new television series called White Horse. Some media reports say the TV series was called Conquest. I believe that White Horse and Conquest were two potential names for the show and they had not yet decided which title to use. So if you see people talking about a Netflix show called Conquest, they're referring to the same show. By 2017, he had begun filming. Here's a still image from the show. I apologize for the poor quality, but this was the best picture I could find. White Horse was to be a dystopian science fiction series about superintelligent genetically modified humans. While Rinsch had secured some funding to produce the show, he had not yet found anyone to purchase it. In 2018, he started calling up various television and streaming companies trying to sell the show. 2010s, Netflix was expanding rapidly. By the late 2010s, the legacy media companies finally realized that Netflix was a serious threat. So they gradually stopped licensing their content to Netflix as they prepared to launch their own streaming services. Netflix was desperate to make as much original content as they could to replace their old licensing model, which was no longer viable. They were desperate to secure as much original content as possible as quickly as possible. When Rinsch contacted Netflix trying to sell Whitehorse, they jumped at this opportunity. They agreed to pay $44 million for the first season. By this point, the filming was far from complete. The $44 million was meant to pay for the production of the remaining episodes. By the end of 2019, Netflix had paid Rinsch the entire $44 million, but the filming was taking longer than expected and had run over budget. Rinsch told Netflix that he would need another $11 million to complete the series. They were already in for $44 million, and a half-completed series isn't worth very much. So Netflix reluctantly agreed. This brought the stream giant's total investment up to $55 million. Netflix wired the money to a bank account owned by Rinsch's production company. Rinsch almost immediately transferred this money of his personal bank accounts. He then transferred $10.5 million to his personal stock brokerage accounts. This is almost the entirety of the $11 million Netflix had recently sent him. He proceeded to invest this money in the stock market. Unfortunately, Rinsch was not a very good trader. He bought call options on an unnamed biotech stock, put options on the S&P 500. Both of these trades were failures. Within 2 months, Rinsch's trading had lost approximately $6 million. Like any good gambler, Rinsch didn't give up. He went back to the metaphorical casino in an attempt to make back his losses. But this time he would try a different casino. He wired the remaining money, which was still a few $million, to a cryptocurrency trading account. Luckily for Rinsch, this was at the height of the crypto bull market. His crypto trading was very successful. By mid-2021, he had made back all of his losses. At this point, he could have used this money to complete the filming of Whitehorse, and Netflix would have been none the wiser. But Rinsch had other ideas. After all, he had just hit it big in the crypto casino. Why not enjoy some of these winnings? Between June of 2021 and November of 2022, Rinsch withdrew approximately $10 million from his crypto trading accounts. He spent the money on the following items: $1.8 million on credit card bills, $1 million on legal fees. At this point, he was actually suing Netflix, trying to get even more money. He was also going through a divorce. $4,000,000 for luxury property rentals, $4 million on furniture and antiques, $650,000 on watches and clothing. And finally, $4 million on luxury cars, including 1 Ferrari and 5 Rolls-Royces. Sure, who doesn't want a Rolls-Royce, but do you really need 5 of them? Of course, having squandered all on personal consumption, Rinsch was not able to complete filming of Whitehorse. The finished product was never delivered to Netflix. In 2025, Rinsch was charged with wire fraud and faces up to 20 years imprisonment. There are a couple of things that stand out to me in this case. Firstly, Netflix displayed a shocking lack of oversight. Since 2020, minimal if any filming had been done. For years, Netflix just assumed that the show was being filmed. They presumably did not send anyone to the film set to see what was going on. Even if you don't suspect fraud, it probably would have been prudent to send someone over to see how production is going. After all, the show is already behind schedule and well over budget. The second thing that stands out is the arrogance and stupidity of Carl Rinsch, assuming of course that the allegations are true. He has not been convicted of anything. Having already lost most of the money in the stock market, he got extremely lucky with his crypto trading, making back all of his losses. He was given a rare opportunity to make things right. He instead decided to live the high life for a few years. His chances of eventually being caught were almost 100%. He had to eventually deliver the finished series to Netflix. He couldn't do this because it was not complete, and having squandered all the money, there is no way he could ever complete it. So obviously he would be caught. Was this crime really worthwhile just to live in luxury for a few years? Rinsch will likely have many years in prison to ponder this question. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about Carl Rinsch? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Signing out.